going 19 nights.
Yeah.
Shall we?
Yes, we're ready.
Did you mention? No, no, no. What's your mobile? Debo, the
Yeah.
one that has system again. Sorry, new
How's it?
system. Sorry.
This way.
Okay, a new day has come. Today is a new day, first working day of the week, and of course, we welcome you to the headline review segment of Morning Flight with our analyst, Mr. Razak Ayinla, joining us in the studios right now. Good morning, Mr. Razak.
Yeah, good morning, Titi. Good morning, Debo. Good morning. It's a nice
Morning
morning,
to you.
and it's nice to be here this morning. Good morning, our listeners.
Okay, it's nice to be here. Let's start reviewing the headlines one after the other. Federal government secures $5.5 billion health investment to train 2,000 professionals yearly. That's coming from the Punch. The coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Ali Pate, has said the country has secured a $5.5 billion 15,000 students. The minister. Okay, so let's look at that. Do you think that is a good omen that this administration is working?
Everybody is talking about our politicians, presidents, governors, and so on going abroad for medical tourism, and they will go abroad because if you look at the decay that are falling our medical facilities over time, better medical attention. But what Mr. President is doing now, trying to bring the Empower School of Nursing, School of Health of Geneva for the training and retraining of our people and getting money to get more hands, more than 20,000 health workers across Nigeria. It's we have to give kudos to Mr. President. For him to have done that, he's doing it in three tranches. He's getting the training or retraining of people in that sector. He's also getting finance, investment, and of course funding from two international or multilateral banks, Afrexim and of course European Investment Bank. So the two of them would definitely finance and rejig the entire earth value chain in Nigeria. It's commendable on the part of Mr. President. We're also talking about Jackpot syndrome. People are going abroad, especially from the sector, because they don't get what they desire. And by getting $5.5 billion, they're going to rejig and cascade down to the other tiers of government, to the state and to the local government. Don't forget, some months ago, they established Miami, and Miami is to reduce the maternal mortality and give the needed nutrients to newborn babies and our kids. So this is going to be all encompassing. Why are they doing that? They are doing that because, don't forget, the man called Trump is trying to withdraw to Nigeria the funding of HIV drugs and treatment, the funding of polio immunization, and some immunizations have been reduced or removed outrightly. Now, when we have this, we are going to have an alternative to what Trump has done. And that is why they need to look inward, get this support from Africa. That is why they are getting African Export and Import Bank to finance some section and getting the European Investment Bank to do the other section. So this is a win-win for Nigeria. And of course, you can only tell them to do the money and spend it judiciously. If you are cascading down to governors of 36 states and FCT minister because a quasi governor, then you must be monitoring team to look at how they are doing all these things so that the fund is not diverted either at the state level or at the local government level, because they are targeting more of primary health care centers and who are under the jurisdiction of local government chairman. We need to really look at them because we are covering the health sector, starting from the primary, the community health people. I'm talking about health centers, and they're also looking at the public health center practitioners. Are also looking at the general medicine doctors and nurses. So this is a win-win for Nigeria. The only thing we need to do in the media is to criticize and look at where they are not getting it rightly to correct them. And of course, we need to tell Mr. President to also instill or install mechanism that will monitor all these governors and chairmen of central local government across Nigeria. Because if they don't do that, it can be diverted.
Hmm. All right, thank you very much. This is Morning Flight, 90.5 FM. Razak Ayinla is here with us, the editor of Business Day newspaper. And you mentioned the Japan syndrome while you were talking the other time. And it was, a funny story this morning while we were reviewing the papers when we heard right there in Nevada that a large number of people, was found from a neighboring country area. They were promised work in Nigeria. When many Nigerian youth themselves are even running out of the country to look for pasture elsewhere. And they came from their country into Nigeria, haven't paid a large sum of money. I was wondering, what's going on here? Now talking about news that the federal government is warning against growing threat of cyber slavery in West Africa. And what do they mean by that? Now let's look at the story. It says for the ministry, Mr. Kimembi Ebenfao, disclosed that many young Nigerians, including underage teenagers, are being lured out of the country with false promises of lucrative job opportunities abroad, especially in crypto-related operations. Now, that has been there for a long time, and Nigerians are still trying to wrap heads around what to do to ensure that all our brains do not leave Nigeria eventually. Meanwhile, there's a development. Speaker Abbas is to engage young Nigerians on social media today. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, will this Monday engage with Nigerians, particularly the youth population, on activities of the federal parliament under his leadership. The engagement will be streamed live on his official and personal social media handles, and will feature sample population at the National Assembly, meaning that there will be representative of Nigerian youth, there. Now, Japa syndrome, cyber slavery. How are we going to, or are we ever going to get over this? Because it started and the trend is still going. That's on one hand. Now, the move by the Speaker of the House of Representatives, in what way is it going to also help?
Now, now before Mr. Razak responds to that, let's quickly take this message.
Thinking, and it was very that. There's no Mr. Mr.
What would you say? So, Razak, we're talking about cyber slavery and how to get over it in this country.
Cyber slavery has been there for a very long time. It's as old as the computer itself or the internet itself. But in Nigeria, it is like that because of the level of our economy. The cost of living in Nigeria is getting worse on a daily basis. And where you have a worse cost of living, then there are crimes because people resort to your crime in order to feed. In Nigeria of today, a 2,000 naira is not enough for you to eat 1 square meal. But in some other countries, it is too much money for you to eat. People are coming from neighboring countries to work in Nigeria. The reason is that if you see go to Benin, if you see go to Chad, if you see go to Niger, what you spend to eat is very minimal compared to what we are spending in Nigeria. Despite the fact that their money is not as good as Nigeria in some cases. But because of living in Nigeria, there's no regulation as to how much in Abeokuta, for instance. If you look at apartment in Abeokuta, for instance, is as now is between 500 to 700 a one-room apartment. Then you want to ask yourself that why do I need a one-room apartment at that rate? So everything in Nigeria is expensive, and if then people resort to crime because what they are getting it will not be enough, even if not by the benevolence of God. All of us, what we are earning is very, very paltry, and it cannot even take us. So it is because of that we are being controlled by God and by our faith and by our Omoluabi character, and that's why we cannot resort to crime. But a large number of people will not consider that, and they will, because things in Nigeria are so bad that people cannot afford to eat even 1 square meal in a day. So people will resort to that, and that's the reason you will see people going to cyber crime. And recently, you see cryptocurrency bridge exchange, the CBEX. Look at how people were swindled. Look at how people lost their money to the tune of what, like 1.3 trillion. Why is it that? It's because people want to get rich quick, and they want to just find a way of getting rich, and that's why they will continue to putting their money there. So cyber slavery will still be there if our government is not controlling the cost of living, if the economy is hard, if the access to cyber and the internet is not restricted, because even in journalism, a large number are there, people are there that are quack, just sit in the comfort of their home and begin to be misinforming people. So there must be a regulation to the access that everybody has to the internet. So if that is done, then we are going to control. And at the same time, youth, we need to catch them young because they are being exposed to a lot of things that they shouldn't, in normal sense, should exposed to. But Nigerian government don't correct that. Nigerian government don't look into that. We only say these are our future. These are our tomorrow future. But when tomorrow future have been bastardized today, then there won't be any future tomorrow. So Nigerian government need to do a lot of things to redirect the orientation of our youth because they are very key. And I have to commend some of the youth that are actually playing the trades. If you see someone like Solomon Enolobo is representing Nigeria at the Spring World Bank meeting ongoing in Washington DC now. So some of them are there presenting some valuable aspects to how they can develop youths, how they can give them access to finance so that they can be on their own rather than looking for white-collar job. So we have some of them that are ready to work, that are ready to do quality things, but we need to reorientate them so that they can do better. Youths are good. Youth are our leaders for tomorrow, but if they are bastardized, if they are destroyed today, there won't be any leader tomorrow.
Okay, still the headline reveal segment with Razak Ayinla. And okay, we're moving on to this next one, courtesy of the Vanguard, where Army is urging media to help protect its uniform and support national security. The Nigerian Army has called on citizens to refrain from illegally wearing military uniforms, emphasizing that respecting the uniform is essential for strengthening national security and fostering trust between the military and the public. What do you have to say
Oh,
on
it's not
this?
only army. The uniform of any military, paramilitary, or force is a national symbol, and of course, nobody must misuse it. or must use as a camouflage to rob or to commit any crime. This is not only happening, it's happening to police, it's happening to NSCDC, it's happening to almost all the forces, and in fact the paramilitary more. But what we need to do in that circumstance is already there. There are laws against crime and criminality, whether at the Criminal Code Act for the 17 southern states or at the Penal Code Act that is for the 19 northern states. We have law clearly stated in both acts, but implementation. When you don't implement, there's no deterrence. So anybody that does that. So, and if there's no deterrent in things like that, people will think that, oh, if I do it, somebody else did it and it was off the hook. So we need to re-implement. Where we need to sign a death warrant, please let's sign. Where we need to commute, let's commute. Where we need to sentence, let's sentence. But when in the name of politics, because some people swear will still use them some other time to bully or to steal ballot boxes and some other thing like that. They want to protect them. So we should go away from that. If somebody is not doing what is right, we are all in this country in 1984 when Baba Buhari was using decree. Some people were killed in front of their parents' houses. So for what they did, that is abnormal. So I think if you are doing that, it will serve as deterrence for any crime and criminality that anybody want to commit or desire or plan or plot or ploy to commit. But if you don't do implementation of law, if you don't take people as scapegoats, so people will still go that way and they will think that, oh, if I should go that way, I will have to. Let me give you an example of even some anomalies in our law that, oh, this is Razak Ayinla. I may decide to say, oh, let me steal 1 billion naira when I know that I'll go to negotiate through plea bargaining. So all those things are not good for our law, and that is why people will go and steal so that they know that they will get off the hook when they file for plea bargaining or plea negotiation in court of law. And so be it. Let's look at our law where we have loopholes and gray areas, and let's also implement where we have good law. This is a deterrent to people who want to commit crime. But if you don't do that, then you want to. In fact, it said even in Bible that if you spare the rod, you spoil the child. So I think if it's biblical, if it is Quranic, then let's do what the gods ask us to do as far as punishment.
All right, it's morning flight. This is OGBC 90.5 FM. Now let's look at insecurity of security matters this morning. Our federal government is making moves to power custodial centers with solar mini grids. Why? You want to ask. The Vanguard leads the story and says the federal government has expressed its desire to build solar mini grids in some of the nation's custodial centers with a view to enhancing inmates' welfare, round the clock illumination, powering electronic security gadgets, and checking security breaches in and around facilities. The decision was announced at the weekend in Abuja when the Controller General of the Nigeria Correctional Service, Mr. Sylvester Nwaguche, led a delegation to meet the Managing Director of the Rural Electrification Agency, Abba Ali. Is this the way to go?
We did a story of recent that we tag in Business Day. We call it Gospel of Solar, Comfort More Nigerians. And of course, the 10 billion naira Aso Rock Solar amplifies Nigeria power failure. And of course, people begin to tag us online and all that and all that. That, if you look at it critically, the Aso Rock will have to go on solar. The reason is that, number one, you have privatized key sector of power sector, which is you have privatized the Genco and Disco. What that means is that you cannot order them around to give you light the way you want. And of course, if they don't go on solar, our national symbol, which is Aso Rock, will be in darkness. So rather, the Mr. President and the FEC should go on solar to power the Aso Rock. It's a clearing call for every Nigerian that you yourself need to find alternative power, whether you like it or not. When a symbol of our nation is going on solar, so what happens to Razak Ayinla house? Not to go on solar or GBC, not to do solar or go on diesel. So it's actually telling all of us to find a solution. As it is now, there is no victory in sight for us as far as power sector is concerned. Why? When you are bringing some people that are accountants to manage power sector, then it's telling you that it will be very hard for us to get it. When you are privatizing and not giving them the capital to start off with, then you cannot get it. Every time the IBDC they come on here on OGBC and some other stations, they'll be talking about their challenges. Why Elega cannot have electricity? Why Olomori will not get electricity? So this is telling all of you to go, including myself, to go and look for alternative. Because if you are talking about stable electricity in Nigeria, it's a dream.
Razak, have you ever been to a NEPA office whereby they run generator?
That is telling you that you must get alternative yourself, because if the national symbol is on solar, then it's telling all of us to go and get the solar. It's a pity when the solar was very cheap, I was doing Yanga, but now it's very expensive. But it's telling all of us to adopt solar.
Okay, let's look at what Taraba lawmaker is saying. The Taraba lawmaker seeks translation of national anthem into local languages in order to promote patriotism and development of the country. That's going by a member of the House of Representatives, Alhaji Audu Lauya, who urged ethnic groups to translate the national anthem into their mother tongues. Do you really believe this will foster the much talked about unity?
In Yoruba land, whatever you call yourself or you make yourself to be, you will be. And we are placed in Yoruba land. You will see that what they are proposing in those states, we've already had translation of in Nigeria. So all these things, they are copying us from Southwest, because everything has been done by our babas. They are giving us foundation. They say we don't want to follow it. So everything that we do, at the point in time, I don't know whether they're still doing it. In Ogun Assembly, they were running the proceeding in Yoruba language, and or they are doing the same thing. So you need to do that so that people will understand. I remember a Baba who taught us, because we called it Baba when we were in secondary school. He used to call us mathematics in Yoruba. All of us were very brilliant in mathematics. The reason is that it's our mother tongue. You can't expect a DS2 student to understand English to that extent. I'm not saying mushroom schools that you get that they are meant to say half, they're saying hearts. So I'm not saying about that. But the good Queen's English, you don't expect a DS1, except you have invested so much in that. But if you go by your own local language, they will get to know a lot of things. When they will teach us Mr. Najadi in Yoruba, when they teach us everything, you will understand respiration, understand all those things. So it is the way to go. Our mother tongue is the first thing that we all learn. And it's the first thing that there's some things that you want to say in mother tongue that you can't say in English. You don't even have translation in English. So rather, go back to your mother tongue. It will sink to the memory. It will sink well for the student to know. So ditto for the national anthem. Let's translate into different languages in Nigeria so that everybody will understand it and will know word for word what all these things mean and how they will now work towards it, because it's only by prayer. If you look at all this thing, it's telling us to not decentralize, to not to not be to not separate ourselves as Nigerian, to not sowed the seed of discord among us as Nigerians. So if that is done, there won't be Boko Haram. If that is done, there won't be Lakarawa or what they call themselves. If that is done, there won't be header farmers clash, because you will see the elder who is a Fulani man as myself. I will see a Yoruba man who or Igbo man as myself, and I will expect him to do the right thing, the way I should do the right thing. But if you are separating ourselves, we are tribalistic, then we will not achieve national unity, national development, and socio-economic growth and development. So that is the way to go.
Okay, let's open the lines now. 0803 437 9453. 0815 Still the headline review segment with Razak Ayinla this Monday morning on OGBC 90.5 FM. Okay, so before we let's take the next one before we start picking the calls. The next one, okay, let's look at it. Where Rivers State pledges support for socioeconomic progress, youth development. That's going by the punch. The Rivers State government has reiterated its commitment to strategic partnerships and collaborations aimed at enhancing economic growth through sustainable investment. What's your opinion on this?
Whether River or any other states in Nigeria, we must try to do everything that will stimulate our economy, that will bring development. Because it's by having development that our I'm going to hit and you are going to hit. It's by having development that everything that we want to do we will at least achieve 70%.
Okay, let's take this. Hello.
Hello, good morning. Morning, sir.
Down the volume on your radio.
Fine, thank you.
And my friend, how are you?
Yeah, thank you. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, I'm about to say
Okay.
let me start from the part that I want to say that Mr. Obama and the have failed this nation. And he showed the way out. He told us that he was going to sell the national creed. It is shameful. If he cannot provide light and they have to run, have to resort to solar. Anyway, I have to let my home. But I didn't have to show this way out. He has trained this nation. We are rich enough to have all these talented parts of life in Nigeria. Let me come back to medical where the party is trying to train nurses. He should focus on the midwifery sector. Because these are nurses that take care of women when they're Debo. We don't want our wives who are here to continue to die at the maternity ward. That's my take. Good one.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much. I appreciate you. 0803 437 9453 and 0815 032 0226.
Good
Morning.
morning.
Good morning to you and Titilope and Razak Ayinla.
Good morning, ma'am.
Three good for you.
Good morning, ma'am.
I'm so happy about that man in church. I just hope the communication will be okay in Nigeria and you will try to do it. I don't think you still have it. and I have an advice for most people. I just don't anticipate. You need solar in your studio. You know why I say that?
Tell us why.
I can't, because when I go up, I hear I start of GPS in your so you have solar. You have that. In the western world, they bring solar for long time. You know how much sun is like you have in Africa. So everybody should go solar. If you go solar now, for somewhere else. So then I was talking about what is playing in Taraba, the football. And you know, our language is now going out of education and it's not a good one. Because we are having proposed to make one of the national language before you can get admission. Those children will learn our language by force. So,
Much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
We want to see you, Jenla. 03-437-9453.
Because Nigeria will have a lot of advantages. We can where there's a comparative advantage. If you look at the north, for instance, there's nothing stopping them not to use wind. If you go to Morocco, Morocco is using wind and they're generating a whole lot of megawatts from the wind. We can use solar. We can use refuse. All those refuse that we are wasting, we can use to generate electricity. We can use, and Nigeria, we are so blessed that we have different sources that we can use power. That's hydro. Of course, the hydro power we can use here, even in look at our dam or your dam.
Hello, good morning.
good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ayinla. Good morning, Tokwe.
Good morning, sir. Is Debo?
Good morning, my
Debo is here, not Tokwe.
analyst of Nigeria.
Thank you, sir.
I am quoting from Shara. I want to comment only on two areas very quickly. One, the use of solar. I don't see any reason why we should be skeptical of the afraid of using that. Let us have solar. It is natural source. Clean energy.
Clean energy. Renewable energy.
So before we can do that, it's better. Our national grid has spread. So if you can do that, and let us encourage as many states or any individuals, local government, to install solar power, have their mini grid all over the place. That is solve the problem. So we should encourage it. That's number one. I'm talking about it's only rational for people to look for where their life can be better. Whether something, whatever. The thing is that we should make that good for us in Nigeria. Comfortable so that we don't have to move away. Nobody who's rational will live a comfortable place and look for an uncomfortable place. The problem is that see that abroad, people see that that's more comfortable there. Let us make that comfortable for us to access in Nigeria. Let us have good governance. Those are my little contributions this morning. I am Simba for the commission.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I said we have more. In fact, we are still flaring the gas that we're supposed to be using, that we don't look at, that we don't do, and we just realize it that our governors also can see that Prince Awobajo is making move to ensure that they use our Oyo dam to generate electricity that will power some areas in Abeokuta. So, which is good for us if we can actually get that, because it's useless. Now we don't use the dynamo, we don't use that Oyo dam all this while. And why do we have dam? It is for electricity, one. It is for agriculture, two. It is for fishery rearing and all that. So we can benefit a lot from making judicious use of Oyo dam and some other places. Of course, I expect Mr. Governor too. Like you can see that you can see different solar light everywhere now. I expect Mr. Governor too to embrace solar, to do some other things that, of course, will be cheaper and reusable and renewable. So that is what we expect our governor to do kudos for him to have even thought of converting the Oyo Dam to power generating dam, but he needs to do more so that Ogun State will remain industrial hub, like he said when he was given an award by the Foreign Investment Network last time.
Okay, you can still call in and let us know what you think about some of these headlines this morning. 0803 437 9453 and 0815 0226.
Okay, let's take a look at this the sad one where a cyclist lost his life. It's indeed a very bad thing, and of course, it was reported in the news that cyclist live in fatal truck collision in Ikeja. The cyclist tragically lost his life on following a fatal collision with a moving truck at Alausa bus stop near Radio on Kudra Tabela Way along Obafemi Awolowo Way.
That's the feeling of our government. Because I don't see reason why Okada will be moving at the Chonke Road. Because that place you mentioned is a Chonke Road. Probably it doesn't even have emeralds at all. So if you go as close as South Africa here or go to Kenya, you will see that they have different roads. That's a what we call articulated vehicle. We have for cars. Maybe I didn't look well. I was in all those countries. I didn't see a single Okada on the road or I don't know, maybe I didn't look well. It's only Nigeria that you will see Okada are probably better because that's their stocking station. They will be seeing Okada moving with trailers. It's not good. We are the regulators, we are the traffic regulatory bodies. What are they doing? And why will Okada will be moving on that Trunke road in Lagos? I don't know. It's appalling. We need to discourage that.
And you see them even on Express.
You see, of course, on express, you see them at this our own express there. They come back road. You'll be seeing Okada, and I'll be asking myself, why are they plying this road? But another thing is that you cannot even blame them because I think our government need to bring more transit buses so that if you go into that along those routes, it's very important. Let's get that done for our people so that I can save their lives.
Okay, 0803-437-9453 and 0815-032-0226. Still the headline review segment with Razak Ayinla.
You see them on my
Pẹ̀lú ìta bá ń lọ ìmẹ̀kọ ní December. Máa gbé ọ̀kadà láti
àwọn
Abẹ́òkúta
yẹn
dé Mẹ̀kọ.
they
Razak Ayinla. Thank you so much, Razak Ayinla, for coming to the
It was
program
always
today.
mine to be here.
All right, good to have you. And of course, our editors, Temitope Alagbo Beche, Tui Oyelumade, Falake Sheton in charge of ICT, Dr. Idowu has been the studio manager, and this is a production of Shalaf Onide. My name is Titilope Awobajo. Stay tuned for editorial review very shortly.
I'm Debo Adeyinka. Have a nice day.
Ó ti wọ startup. Nàìjíríà ti di nǹkan mìíràn.
Àwọn tó ń pín wá
Tí
gba
èèyàn
ìdí.
ò bá ti ní
Àwọn òun náà ní ẹ jẹ́ kán
tí
pín nǹkan wa,
èèyàn
kán
bá
pín
ti
nǹkan